business owners don't care about traffic. They want conversions, sales, leads, phone calls. That's where now I start doing the remarketing ads with them and try to look at it more holistically. It unfortunately could take up to 10 years or longer depending on the competition. So social media is a great way to break into a market because SEO does take about 6 months or longer depending on the competition.
Welcome to Business Growth Talks. Today we have a special guest, which is Brandon Leibowitz, who is a founder and operator of SEO Optimizers, a digital marketing agency that has helped small businesses and medium-sized businesses boost their online presence since 2008. With over a decade of experience in SEO, social media marketing, and paid ads, Brandon has a wealth of knowledge on how to drive traffic and convert into sales. In this episode, we'll deep dive into Brandon's journey, the evolution of his business, and the impact he has made on his clients' success. So, Brandon, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. With all of my guests, the first question I ask is, what does a business mindset mean to you?
That usually means thinking in terms of a business and trying to figure out how to make your business functional, profitable, make sure it operates smoothly, make sure everything is working and that you're ultimately making a profit in the long run and not losing money, but just trying to think from a business point of view.
Yeah, interesting. And so one of the questions I was going to ask about SEO optimizers, but you started in 2008. You had some time before in SEO in jobs before. Well, what interested you into this type of digital marketing?
I just fell into it, wasn't planning on it after I graduated from school. My degree was in business marketing and I graduated in 2007. And back then, they didn't really teach you too much about digital marketing in school, but one of the first job opportunities was doing SEO and digital marketing, which I didn't really know much about it. And they said, "Don't worry, we're new to this as well, and we're going to learn with you." Taking workshops and classes and seminars, and went to a few workshops with them where a lot of the people presenting were saying, I do SEO or I do digital marketing and I have 10 websites. This is back in 2007. And got me thinking. They were talking about drop shipping and affiliate marketing, but I realized I could do SEO full time at this company. And I could also go to a local restaurant or a doctor or a lawyer, something that's not a competitor of the company that I was working at, and pick up freelance clients here or there. And I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit where I knew I wanted to have my own company one day. And in high school, I had a skateboard clothing company. Once I went to college, I let that on the kind of fade away. I should have kept going with that, but I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And then the digital marketing just called my name out because it was something new or newish back in 2007 and just
Yeah,
got in early and just kept going with it ever since.
amazing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's go back. Tell me one thing about your upbringing which reflects on who you are today.
I'd say my parents always instilled on me to just try hard and just don't get discouraged if things don't work out and just try to persevere and push through. And that's helped me to learn that the ups and downs that happen having your own business are there and just use them as learning experiences to help you grow and don't get frustrated and just throw in the towel and give up, but just keep trying to push through and persevere.
And how did they support you? Were they entrepreneurial themselves?
No, but for something just stood out in my mind as a kid that I want to figure out how to have my own company one day. I always thought I don't want to work a normal 9 to 5, even though having your own company makes you work much more, but at least you get that freedom and flexibility to choose your own hours. But they always supported my decisions and were always there to help guide me and give me guidance and advice, which was really fortunate of me.
So what was it that why do you think you were entrepreneurial? Why like you didn't have the direction from your parents, although they supported you, which is fantastic. But what was that? What was it, an itch that you were trying to solve by different businesses? You said the skateboarding clothing company initially. Was it just an itch that you needed to keep on scratching?
I think so. Also, seeing my dad work 2 jobs made me realize how much work really takes your life away and it could become a full time job, and then after work, you're working another job just to support people, and realize that I want to hopefully try to avoid that if possible. He didn't always work two jobs, but sometimes he'd have to work two jobs, and I'd see him coming home from work and then going back to work later that night, and realize that's seems very stressful and doesn't seem the best for the human body. I thought that one company would get me out of that 9 to 5 kind of rat race that everyone seems to be in, and it's just a way to get out of that.
Does is your father still with us? Is
Yep,
he still with you?
yep, lovely.
And what does he say to you now? What's his thoughts after you've been doing SEO optimizers since 2008? What does he say to you now?
Well, he is very proud and glad that I did it, and he knows that's a lot of work building it up over the years, but he is very supportive and is very happy that I was able to get SEO optimizers and build it up to the level that I've grown it to. Especially being able to quit my job and just focusing solely on this was a big leap of faith, but it worked out, and he's very happy. Same with my mom; they're both really supportive, which I'm lucky to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you fell into digital marketing and you did some jobs there, but you said you started some freelance businesses outside like restaurants and things like that. And when you started getting your first few clients, did you think at that point, after schooling, after university, and then into your first couple of jobs, was it right? This is the thing. This is what I'm going to invest. You've invested many years into it and built your business up. How did that first gig come along? Did you go out and source it yourself? And how was the first client that you worked with?
Yeah, the first one I think came from me sourcing it out because people don't really know me. I didn't have a website back then, so one of the first clients I got was actually someone that they did insurance, and they were able to build websites on Dreamweaver, and I didn't really know custom coding and Dreamweaver and HTML, and they said, "Hey, let's barter. You do my SEO, and I'll build you a website." And I said, "All right, let's give it a shot." I think I was posting ads on Craigslist back then. So just little
Right.
snippets saying, "Hey, if you need help with SEO," which if you are starting off right now, Craigslist is not the worst place. It's not the best place, but it's a good place to just get your foot in the door, get some experience,
Yeah.
and found that one person that was actually a really good client, and we're still friends to this day. He kind of mentors me in business and helps me out. But I got lucky with that, and he built that website. And then once I had a website, then I could showcase myself and do SEO on my own website because I knew how to do SEO. I just building websites is a whole different ballpark where it requires
Yeah.
HTML or PHP or CSS, and all that stuff was really new to me. But that was a really great opportunity that I'm lucky I found that person, and we worked together, and I was able to, back then it was much easier to rank websites. So I was able to rank him really fast and even rank him above government websites because he was selling Medicare supplemental insurance. The government ranked number one, but he had a really good name. He bought the domain Medicare supplemental insurance.com. And back then, exact match domains really helped out a lot with SEO, and then building some backlinks just shot him up above the government. And he was very happy and still is to this day.
Amazing. What's the biggest challenges that is now facing SEO, websites, digital marketing at the moment? Because obviously it's changed over the years. Websites were relatively new. Getting them ranked was obviously very important. But the advent of like social media and other avenues, how does SEO and what's the biggest challenges that companies face when they're looking at SEO at the moment?
I would say just try to figure out what's going to happen in the future because it's so dynamic and everything is constantly changing, especially with AI, and just trying to figure out what's Google going to do. Is Google going to incorporate AI into the search results, which they're starting to do? Is that search GPT going to take over, or what is the future? But I feel like a lot of people are worrying about that. But as long as there's a search functionality on the internet, then there's ways to optimize it. 'Cause SEO is not really for Google. It's for anywhere that you could search, whether it's Amazon and TripAdvisor or any website where there's search functionality. We'll just have to see what happens with Google, if Google sticks around, or is Google going to change, or is something else going to emerge. But I feel like that's really the mystery that everyone's trying to figure out, and we'll just have to wait because everything is so dynamic. Or maybe AI just passes like a fad, which I doubt that would happen, but you never
Yeah.
know until we see what's going to happen. So just trying to stay up to date with all the different changes and just trying to prepare for what may emerge and take over.
So we'll come back to AI in a minute. It's obviously a very hot topic. There's lots going on there. And it's interesting you say, although Sam Altman at ChatGPT is saying that they're not going for search, a lot of people that I'm talking to are using ChatGPT instead of search. But we'll come back to that in a minute. So I do want to come up, but I just want to touch on, so what's social media? How has that impacted SEO? Because now companies, smaller companies might be thinking that they need to be on TikTok to sell their product or service rather than building a website. Websites are not obsolete by any shape or form, but the idea of social media playing a massive impact on businesses. How do you see that? How has that been for you and your clients?
Social media is a great way to break into a market because SEO does take about 6 months or longer, depending on the competition. Social media is a great way to just jump in there and you could start competing against these big corporate websites or social media accounts and start putting your content out there. But social media really started as social networking as a way to put a face behind the company because back in like 2007, 8, 9, you could buy off Amazon, but there's also Bob's TVs that might have been around for 50 years. And people are just like, I don't
Mm,
know who Bob's TV is. I don't trust this website. But social networking or social media let people build a Facebook page, let them ask questions, respond to questions, do status updates, get reviews. So it really helped build trust, like social trust, social proof. And now it's emerged to social media where everyone's just jumping on it and posting content all the time. And unfortunately, now organically, reach is so low that it's tough to do
yeah,
social media organically. It's more of a pay to play platform because if you post on, let's say, Facebook, 5 out of 100 people will ever see what you post without you having to click that little blue button and boosting the post. And also, I try to think like social media, it works for some companies, but it doesn't really work for all of them. Like I do SEO.
no,
Not many people are going on my Instagram or TikTok. Some people do, but most people really find me on Google. And then they'll check me out on social media to make sure I'm real, legitimate, trustworthy. I have status updates, I have reviews, and all that stuff. But if you're doing something like sports or entertainment, social media is your go-to because you can be posting 10 times a day about soccer or football or any
yeah,
sporting event and entertainment and news. So it really just depends on your audience. And I always tell people to try to take a step back and think, if you were looking for your product or service, where would you go? And that's going to let you hone in on what social media platforms you need to use, or maybe you don't need to use some of them. But ultimately, your website is yours and you get full control of it. So I usually tell people like social media is great, but I would use it as a way to get people to your website. Because on social media, there's
right,
ads, there's distractions, there's friend requests, there's too much noise on there. And
yeah.
people's attention spans are so short that they might be on your page for 1 minute and then they just get sucked into the algorithm and forgot about you. So try to always have a website because that's where you get the full control and you're not at the whims of these
And
social media companies.
something when I was doing research, you said that business owners should stop spending money on ads. Why do you think that?
Oh, that's kind of my pitch for SEO is stop spending money on ads and get that free traffic. But ads do work as long as you're making more than you're putting in. So as long as you're making a
Yeah,
positive return on ad spend, there's no real need to turn the ads off. But in the long run, you don't want to rely on the ads because they get expensive. And once you stop running the ads, you disappear. So in the short run, ads are great. In the long run, SEO is going to be a much better strategy. But I do remarketing ads. So that is one caveat I probably should say when I pitch myself is you have to have touch points. And someone comes to your website, most of those people, or about half the people, are going to leave. It's that bounce rate. So how do you keep yourself top of mind to all these people that have left your website? And that's where I like to follow people around. So if you look on Amazon, you look at a product but you don't buy it, you see those ads follow you around everywhere. Doing the same thing from my own website and my clients' websites. Even if you're not selling a product, like I offer free classes. So if someone comes to my website but doesn't sign up for a free class, I'm gonna follow them around with ads saying, "Hey, sign up for a free class." Then if you have signed up for a free class, for free consultations, if you haven't taken a or signed up for a consultation, I'll follow you around with the free consultation ads. Then if you have taken a consultation but haven't signed up as a client, I could follow you around with testimonials and reviews from clients. So trying to segment your audience And remarketing works really well because it's warm leads, and you could get away with a budget of like $10 or $20 a day and be able to really.
So how does that work? So you've got someone that comes to your website and then they leave. They have a look at it. They decide it's not for me now. What's the next step? You're then following up with them because they've come to your web. Like, how does the process work that you're then leading on to? You should see my free course or a course, and then if they don't sign up for that, then you give them testimonials. What's the process? What would really help a business owner here to actually set that into place that they can have that for their sort of their flow for their process?
The most important thing is trying to look at your website and think about the different buying stages that people are in and trying to segment those audiences, because a lot of people just set up a remarketing ad and target all traffic. But you really need to know that like people are in different buying stages and phases on your website, and just trying to adjust for that. But you go into Google Ads, you sign up, create an account, and then you put a little tracking code on your website, and that lets Google track people and see where they go. And Google's pretty much partnered with almost every website on the internet that shows banner ads. So it doesn't matter where you go, if you go on like Fox or CNN or Forbes or the New York Times or LA Times or any website, Huffington Post, that shows banner ads, your ad will show up to people. And it's another touch point to build trust and credibility, especially when you're selling something high ticket. People aren't just going to buy something right away. Some people might, but you really need to build trust up, and that extra touch point really helps solidify and build that trust and credibility up for a business.
Is that called programmatic advertising?
I've heard of programmatic, but I think it's a little different. Remarketing is really just only targeting your audience and
Okay.
traffic. I haven't really done too much with ads in the past until I found out about remarketing, and I found out about also YouTube, because with YouTube, Google owns YouTube, and I can remarket to you on YouTube, but also I get 30 seconds free ad space. So if someone watches your video ad for 29 seconds and then skips it, you don't pay a penny. After 30 seconds, it's 10 cents a view. It's really cheap, and it puts a face behind the company. And once I did that, once I created a YouTube video, the first day somebody called me up and was like, I came to one of your SEO classes 6 years ago. I was in startup mode. I wasn't ready, but now I'm ready. And I saw your commercial on YouTube. And I was like, no, it's not really a commercial. I just filmed it with
Right.
my cell phone, because authenticity is also really important, not just to have this huge production, but really just show that you're authentic, you're a real person, real business. And iPhones or Samsung Galaxies or whatever cell phone you have nowadays is going to be good enough to record a video, and it works really well.
Why should clients choose to work with you? What differentiates you from other digital marketing or SEO companies?
In the past, I only focused on SEO, and SEO is ranking you higher on Google, which gets you more traffic to your website. But business owners don't care about traffic. They want conversions, sales, leads, phone calls. That's where now I start doing the remarketing ads with them and try to look at more holistically, not just only focusing on SEO, even though that is the main bread and butter, but just working with them to make sure their website's optimized for conversions, making sure it looks good, it's easy to navigate through. There's a good call to action at the top of the page with a value proposition and maybe a video or some bullet points so people could quickly skim the website, get what they need to know, and make a decision to whether they want to work or contact you, fill out a form, or hit that back button.
Um, how do you get your clients? I'm assuming SEO is a major point for you for gaining your clients, but what methodologies do you use to acquire your clients?
Doing SEO on my own website and then teaching classes. So another way my friend and I started doing classes back in 2013 is a way to just teach people, and realize we thought people would pay for our classes, which some people did, but most people were just like, I want to learn SEO. And then they realize how much work it is. And then they're like, all right, how about I just hire you, because I don't have time to learn this. I have to work on my business, and I'm not trying to learn a whole new field, but at least now they're educated. If they do hire somebody, they
Yeah.
know what to look out for. And just word of mouth, referrals, social media, like YouTube mainly. Social media is okay, but YouTube is really good. Building a channel up on there and being a guest on other people's podcasts helps out. But just trying to get my name out there as much as possible and really putting my face as a company, because people don't really buy off SEO optimizers. They buy off branded. And that's what I've learned over the years
Yeah.
is I have to really brand myself more My company is still there, but I have to really put myself out there and let people know that I'm the subject matter expert. I've been doing it since 2007, and that I'm not going to be one of those fly by night companies that just comes and takes your money and disappears. Which I get a lot of clients that come to me saying, "Hey, I work with this company," and I look at what their SEO is or look at their website, and I really don't see much SEO. I don't really see many backlinks, and unfortunately, they're just not getting what they're looking for.
So how have you leveraged YouTube? Because it's something that I'm very interested in. I've been growing my channel on YouTube as well as on the podcast, and it's been very successful for me in the last sort of 6, 7 months. But so what do you do on YouTube, and how have you been able to leverage that for your success?
I usually put my classes that I teach up on YouTube or sometimes these podcasts. So if you give me the raw video, then I would put that up on YouTube and just try to give value, really. Try not to promote myself, but just offer tips and advice about SEO, doing some shorts every once in a while. But really, my YouTube is just throwing my content up there, my classes, podcasts, and things like that, which I am working on making specific YouTube content where it's just not my classes, but me just talking about a subject matter like keyword research or backlinks or AI or whatever that topic is, and just making a more YouTube geared video because the videos I'm putting up on YouTube are more like class style. So it works,
Mm,
but that's not really what people want to see on YouTube because I'd rather go to your class. I want to get something a little bit different, but it has worked for the most part in the past. And I'm just going to keep building on that and just being consistent, doing SEO on your YouTube channel, like with the video file names, making sure that those have keywords in it, trying to put descriptive text in the description box. So describing what that video is about, transcribing it if it's a short video, time stamping it if it's a long video, and just trying to do the SEO best practices with the title and things like that that I know work to help websites because Google owns YouTube. So the algorithms
yeah,
are similar, not the same, but there's a lot of
yeah.
overlaps.
Who are your target clients? Who are you looking to work with? If you had an ideal client, who would it be?
Usually it's local businesses that I work with or e-commerce, but I prefer local businesses. And it doesn't really matter what type of business. I've opened up only almost any niche because with SEO, if I'm working with like a dentist or a restaurant, same strategies apply. It's just changing the keywords from dentistry to food and restaurants. And then the backlinks, when I'm building backlinks, finding sites that are related to, if it's a dentist, finding health related websites. If it's a restaurant, finding websites about food or entertainment and nightlife and things like that. So just trying to adapt the strategy. But for the most part, as long as your local business or e-commerce, those are really the two that I prefer to work with.
Who you work for? And how is AI changing your industry? I don't think it's going to be a flash in the pan. I think it's something that's going to be with us. Whether a bubble bursts, who knows? But I do think that it's going to impact all industries and impact the way that we run things. But how are you embracing it? How are you working with it? And what's your view on AI?
Yeah, it's definitely going to change things. It's already changed things a lot. And with SEO, a lot of work is creating content, creating articles or blogs or press releases. And all my writers, or not all of them, but majority of my writers are using AI. So I had to just let them go because I'm like, why am I paying you all this money when you're just using ChatGPT or another AI platform
Mm,
to just create this content? So I feel like, unfortunately, with like content creation, it's all going to disappear because AI is not accurate. So you can't just copy it verbatim. It does those AI hallucinations, but the more people use it, the longer it's around, the more accurate it's going to become. And then you probably could copy it verbatim. But right now it's really in its infancy. So I use it like as a tool to help out with like outlines or coming up with ideas for blog topics. But we'll have to see how it how effective it becomes at really giving you the right information. Because I've asked it before, like how many people search for this keyword, and it'll give me an answer, but then I'll check like the Google Keyword Planner, which is a free tool from Google that shows you how many people actually search for a keyword, and the numbers are going to be really off. So using it as a
oh, okay. So it's only for you a guide rather than anything accurate at the moment.
for the most part, sometimes it's accurate, but it does those AI hallucinations and it doesn't tell you when it's making something up. Which I feel like if it didn't know the answer, it should tell you that it's making it up, and then
Yeah.
still make it up and say, "Hey, here's what we think it is," but don't just make it up and think people are going to realize it, because a lot of people just copy verbatim, throw it on their website, and they're going to put out misinformation. And Google said we don't care who writes the content anymore because we can't tell they can't tell the difference. It's so good, but they just said it has to be accurate, it has to be helpful and beneficial, and that means you have to go through it, read it, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's giving you the correct information. Otherwise, it actually might do more harm than good.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a lot of people in the AI industry and people that are using it, and what I say to new people that haven't used it very often is search something you know nothing about and look it over and see what it says, but then search something that you're an expert or that you know a lot in and see the comparison for you. And they're saying 75-80% of it is correct, but there is that still at the moment there is a 20% where it's not accurate, and as you say, they just make things up and it's not clear. Would that sort of assessment seem like you would say it's about 80% right? Is that what you're seeing?
No, I'd say give or take around there. But yeah, it's pretty close. It's just not fully there yet. So give it some more time, let it learn. The more people that use it, the more it learns, and hopefully the more accurate it can become. Unless people just keep copying misinformation and throwing it up on their website, and then ChatGPT learns from that incorrect information. Hopefully that's not the case, because then it'd just be a downward loop spiral where it's just learning from itself and it's making up those hallucinations. But as long as you put out good information, I feel like you don't have to worry too much about that. Just tweak it, read it over before you post anything on the internet or online.
Yeah, I would agree. Tell me about a success story with one of your clients, how you were able to impact their business by using SEO.
Yeah, I guess one of my recent clients is a clothing company, and they sell clothes. They have a really niche, so they do it for like music festivals, and worked with them. And at the beginning, they added a lot of backlinks because they're a pretty big brand, but their on-page SEO, like keywords and things like that, weren't properly structured. They had a lot of duplicate pages that were competing against each other. Because if you have two pages targeting the same keyword, Google doesn't know which page to show. So it's called cannibalization, where you kind of cannibalize and become your own competition. So cleaning up their website, clean up all that on page, the technical issues, got Google to better understand, read their website, and really shot them up and moved them up a lot more, because they were on page one for a lot of keywords, but they were at the bottom of page one. And page one's where it's hyper competitive. Everyone's doing SEO, and you really need to be a stand out and do things that are going to differentiate you versus the competition. And by making those on page changes within 3 or 4 months, they moved up to the like top three positions, because they already had a lot of backlinks. So they had a lot of trust built with Google. It was just helping Google better read their website, which usually it's the other way around. Usually I work with people that don't have backlinks, and building backlinks takes months to get trust from Google. But
So tell me what a backlink is.
so a backlink is a clickable link from another website that points to yours. So let's say you're reading an article on the Huffington Post, and in there it says Brandon Leibowitz, and you click on it and it goes to my website. I'd be getting a backlink from the Huffington Post. So the more websites
Right.
that have clickable links pointing to yours, the more popular Google sees you as, the more trust they're going to give to you, and the higher they're going to rank you in the search results.
And how do you get those backlinks effectively and get your name out there that the backlink can support you and your business?
There are lots of different ways to build backlinks, but the thing with backlinks, it's all about quality, not quantity. A lot of people just go onto Fiverr and buy 1,000 backlinks for $5, and these are all from low quality sites that are not relevant to you. And what you need to be doing is finding sites that are relevant and authoritative. That's the two things that Google's really looking at, is not just getting you on any random website, but finding niche related websites. And a great way to do that is you have to offer something for free. If you just ask a website, like if you're a restaurant and you find another, like a food blog, hey, can you write about my restaurant? They might say yes, but they're probably not. So if you offer something of value, like if you're a restaurant, maybe you could offer this food blog a 10% off coupon or something. Or you could reach out to them and be like, hey, I want to write an article for your blog about, if you're an Italian restaurant, you could say, hey, I want to write a blog about 7 recipes that you could do at home to make great Italian food, or something really generic, informational, and offer that. But if you're just asking for a backlink, it's not going to work. It's a lot of work building those backlinks. Another way is I do guest podcasting, so I'd be I reach out to podcasts that relate to what I'm doing. And usually, if I'm a guest on other people's podcasts, I'll get a backlink. You can have your own podcast. That's another way that you could get backlinks. You could join like a chamber of commerce in your area or the Better Business Bureau, or use tools like Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush. These are all paid tools, but they'll let you look at your competitors' backlinks. So I could go into Google, search for my keywords, see who's on page one for all my keywords, and throw them into these tools to look at their backlinks. And then one by one, I can reach out to sites that are relevant and authoritative. Because you don't want to just go after every backlink. You need to find ones that are really related to your business and have some trust and authority with Google.
Um, how's it working with your team? Like, how many employees do you have? How are you? Are you remote working? Are you, like, how has that changed? Obviously, with the advent of COVID, it changed a lot of people's things. But what? How many employees have you got, and how are you managing them?
Yeah, it's all remote. Thought about having office space, but then after COVID happened, realized that it's not really needed and I like
Yeah,
the flexibility of just being able to grab my laptop and work from anywhere, but have about 10 writers on staff that I know are not using AI. At least I hope that they're not. It's tough to differentiate nowadays, but some of them like pride themselves. Like one is an English teacher and she's really against AI. So
uh,
trying to find those good writers, it's very tough nowadays because everyone seems to be using AI, but having writers, I still rather have people write the content because you can't just rely on AI yet or fully yet. So having those writers and then having about 5 people that help me out with the backlinks because a lot of the building backlinks is building relationships. It's like networking online
yeah.
with other websites. And that means I have to reach out to other websites and build relationships with them. And that part is very tedious and takes a lot of time, but it is very effective if you build the right relationships and get the right websites to say yes to letting you work together and help each other out.
Amazing. How have you evolved as a leader?
It's been changing all the time and just trying to figure out how to lead and how to manage people and not getting away from the SEO because I still have to do it all the time and make sure it's all done properly, but also have to balance that with managing a team and leading a team. And that is something that I am still learning and it's still new to me because I started hiring people about 4 or 5 years ago. So before that, it was just me by myself. I work full time most of the time, working at like advertising agencies. And before work and after work and on my lunch breaks, I'd work on my own company and eventually built that up to quit my job, I think in 2018, maybe 2017. So
Okay.
I was doing SEO full time for a while and had my own company, but I just was happy to have that full time job and make some extra side hustle money while I was doing that. But eventually I was able to quit my job and now I've just been trying to learn, reading books about how to hire, how to manage, how to structure your organization and things like that. Just trying to learn as much as I can.
And I believe hiring is the hardest part of being a business owner. Would you agree?
Hiring and delegating and just letting go of things because as a business owner, you don't want to let go. No one knows how to do keyword research like I do, but if you make a good process and systemize it and then you have to train your employees. Sometimes you'll get ones that are really great, but a lot of times I've found ones that are good, but also need some training initially. But once they learn it, then it's nice to let things go and give you time back to focus on more important things like trying to market my business and market myself or being a guest on podcasts or just trying to work on other things to help grow the business and take it to that next level.
What would you say your risk appetite is?
I'd say it's more. I did wait about 10 years to quit my job. So I'd say, in terms of that, I was more or less risk averse right there. I wanted to just make sure everything was safe and that I had built my own freelance business up to where I was able to quit my job and not have to worry about if I lost a couple clients, what would happen. So I just jumped
Mm.
ship right away, like a lot of people might do, which is great if you want to do that. But I think my strategy was a little bit safer in the long run. It was a little bit slower, but it worked out. And I definitely am open to taking risks, but just trying to be more calculated and strategic with it and not just jumping ship and be like, all right, I hope it works out because if not, what am I going to do? I have to get another job, which getting another job in SEO back in the early 2000s wasn't that hard because not many people were doing it. So it was really easy for me to get a job, but I still didn't want to just jump ship because business owners didn't really understand what SEO is back in like 2007. Even now, business owners, they're getting more aware of it, but it's still, I have to educate them a little bit about how it works, the time frames, and all that stuff, so they could be aware of
Mm.
what they're investing in.
And a client of a guest on my show, he said that it took him, and I'm assuming you would say you'd be able to do it quicker, but he said that his SEO strategy was a 10-year project for him to get at the top on every search that he wanted to be on top of. That seemed a little bit excessive. Like, I know a little bit about SEO, and I've had other people on my show in this field, and other people in networking have talked about how they can really change a business in 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. How do you structure when you're working with a new client? Ten years feels a little bit excessive, but what's your sort of process when you're looking to work with clients? How do you structure your arrangements with clients?
It unfortunately could take up to 10 years or longer, depending on the competition. So, if we go back to that clothing example that I mentioned earlier, they sold clothing for music festivals, but if they just sold clothing, then they're competing against Amazon and Target and all
Yeah.
these big corporations. So, that's where it comes down to the competition. The more competitive those keywords are, the more time it's going to take, because it really comes down to those backlinks. Backlinks really rank websites. And if you're competing against these big corporate websites, they have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of backlinks. And to build backlinks takes a lot of time. It's not easy to build backlinks. Like for my own website,
Yeah.
I probably built maybe 500 backlinks over the past 17 years of doing SEO, because you don't want to build too many either. Those red flag. But
Mm.
if you're in a low competition industry, then you could get up there much faster. If you're, that's why I like local, because local businesses,
Right.
you're not competing against the whole world. But I am in Los Angeles, so if I work with a restaurant in Los Angeles, it is hyper competitive, and it can take a
Yeah.
couple of years. So finding more smaller cities where there's less competition, it's less saturated, then you can move up much faster. But it is not a one size fits all. Every website is different. And I've had clients that have had a website for 20 years, have a ton of backlinks, but their website was just really poorly built and Google can't read any of it. And just by making a couple changes, they just shot up to position number one and just started generating a ton of leads. But it's all, again, that's a rarity. Usually it's the other way around, where they're a brand new website or they've been around for a couple of years, but they don't have backlinks. And then building these backlinks, you can only build so many backlinks each month without triggering spam filters, because to Google, a normal website would be getting a couple backlinks every single month. And if you build 1,000 backlinks one month and then just stop, that looks really weird to Google. They look at all,
Right.
there's a lot that Google looks at, and you have to really try not to leave any trails or breadcrumbs of what you're doing, because if they do see that you're doing SEO, they might penalize, or doing over optimization. They might penalize you and saying you're doing too much, because Google's ultimate goal is to get you to spend money on ads. SEO is just
Yeah.
there to keep Google afloat, because if Google is all ads, nobody would go to Google. But Google doesn't really want you to click on the organic. They want you to click on those paid ads so they make more money, and that's all Google really cares about.
Yeah. What do you still want to achieve in your business or life?
I would say just building the business up more and just taking it to the next level, working on a book. So finished that book about a month or two ago, and now just trying to figure out how to publish it and get it out there, and then just trying to keep working on growing the business
Mm.
and just grow it as much as I can and just keep building it up.
Amazing. What's the biggest struggle that you've had to face personally or professionally?
Maybe quitting my job was a tough one, because I work at different advertising agencies as a director of SEO over the years, and they didn't mind me working on freelance clients. So it's like I was double dipping, getting paid full time from this one company, and then I'd work on my own freelance and get paid for my own one. And it was tough to just let that go, the agency that I was working at. Just, but once I did that, I got so much more time back to work on my own company and work on my own clients, that it was a tough decision. And I probably struggled over that for 5 years, because I told one of my friends back in 2013, the one that I was doing classes with, that you should just quit your job or do freelance, and you don't really need to rely on these agencies. And he did it within like the
Mm.
first year that I told him to do it. And he was really happy. He kept telling me to do it, but I was like, it's nice to double dip, and it's tough to just let go, because
Yeah.
I'm working, doing SEO full time at an agency, and then doing SEO before work, after work, on my lunch break. So I'm just like learning so much, and it's all helping one another out. And, but once I let go of the agency, it was a good decision.
How did the company allow you to in essence double dip, and you could be competing with the agency, couldn't you, with your clients?
Yeah, but I always made sure not to have those issues. So if someone did come to me, if I was working at the advertising agency, one of my clients was like a car insurance company, and another car insurance company came to my freelance one, I would say no and just not have, because I didn't want to compete with them. So as long as they were different industries, they knew that but like, hey, you're learning SEO and you're doing SEO before work and after work. Great. That's going to make you more of a subject matter expert and help our clients out. So as long as I wasn't working at work on my own company, they're
Yeah.
perfectly fine with it, which is lucky. I had some companies that want me to let go of my freelance work, and I just told them I'd rather do my own freelance and have to let go of it because I was building up. And I always knew in the back of my mind that someday I would just go all in with this company. But at those times earlier, I just was happy to have a job after university and get some extra side hustle money.
What's the role of video on websites now? How is Google analyzing video versus text?
Google owns YouTube, so if you upload a video to YouTube, they'll try to give you the subtitles, but it's not accurate. And Google is getting, or YouTube is getting better at it, understanding videos, but they're not there yet. And the more text you could put on the website, even on YouTube, the more text you put in the description, or if you put your own subtitles up, then that's you giving text to YouTube, and they really still love that. So maybe in a few years they'll be able to read images and videos and understand audio much better, but right now it's still pretty new where I'd say it's 80% there. It's just not fully there.
So a video on your own website is advantageous for the user because they might go onto your website and they might see a video and then be inspired to buy. But that isn't those videos are not necessarily helping your SEO. Is that right?
It might help a little bit because sometimes people say, hey, putting a video on your website, it's going to draw people in. It's more for people, but sometimes people
Yeah.
say put a video up on your page to help differentiate yourself from the competition because Google might see that all these websites that are on page one have the same content or similar content, similar text, but you have a
Mhm.
video that might help give them that extra edge, especially because Google owns YouTube. So if you take that video
Yeah.
from YouTube and embed it on your website, I feel like that's going to help more versus just uploading a video
Oh, really?
directly.
That is that actually the case? So putting YouTube videos on your business website can be advantageous.
Yep, and it'll also help your YouTube channel because when you're putting
Yeah.
when you're embedding the video on your website, you're giving YouTube a backlink from your website, and you're
Mm.
giving your video a backlink, and those backlinks do
Yeah.
help out with YouTube. So if you can embed your videos on third-party sites, which is not easy to do, you can do it on your own website, but if you can get on
Mm.
other third-party sites, that really helps out because YouTube wants more backlinks because Google
Yeah.
knows the more backlinks, even though Google owns YouTube, they can just push it up at the top, but that wouldn't be fair, even though I'm sure they might give it a little slight advantage over Vimeo or Dailymotion or any other video platform. But
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
backlinks always work really well.
Definitely help. Amazing. Look, we're coming to the end of the interview. I asked the same six questions to all my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. And they're a little bit thought provoking, is what's been commented on. The first question is: what's the best decision that you've made?
Probably getting a mentor for business has been very helpful and helped me learn from their mistakes and avoid them or hopefully avoid them and just really help accelerate you. So I always recommend if you can get a mentor, get one. If you don't know where to get one, I teach classes at the Small Business Association, which is also partnered with SCORE. And if you go to score.org, they'll partner you up with a mentor anywhere in the world, which is nice nowadays. Before COVID, couldn't
Mm.
really do that, but now since everything's online, if you can find someone in person, you can meet them in person, but most of them will do it on Zoom or phone calls. So there's no real need not or reason not to get a mentor, and it really does help out for business a lot.
Amazing. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
I'd say just probably learning from your mistakes and growing from them, and not just getting discouraged because there's always those ups and downs with managing people, hiring people, even with SEO. Google, you're at the whims of Google, and Google kind of controls everything. And Google just flip that switch and say, we're looking at backlinks today. Now we're going to not look at them, which I doubt that would ever happen, but they really change everything. So you're just really having to stay up to date with all the changes and just not get discouraged when things don't go wrong or don't go right, because you just learn from it, grow from it, and now you can see what is actually going to move the needle.
Amazing. Who's the person that's helped you most in your career? And you can't say your mentor. I want someone else.
No, I would probably say that one client, that first client that I got that helped me build the website, even though they aren't my mentor, but building that website was what helped me get to that next level, because I was stuck and I was just posting ads and cold calling and cold emailing people, which never worked. I don't think I ever got a client from cold calling. Maybe I got one or two, but it's just so much. Even went like door to door, knocking on business doors and trying to talk to the business
Mm.
owners. But once I had a website, that was like my resume, my portfolio, my case studies, everything. So just putting that in one cohesive place for people to find. Back then, social media wasn't really big, so I can't really. I mean, you could do LinkedIn nowadays, but still having your own website gives you more control and really lets you showcase your work and your experience. And that really got me to that next level, because before that, I was just stuck and I knew SEO. I just didn't know how to get the word out to the world. And that website really
Yeah.
helped change things around.
Um, Amazing. Tell me about a regret that you have.
I would say maybe this skateboarding company in high school that I
Why?
started, because it was getting pretty popular and people loved it. And I was getting into all these stores, and skateboarding is my passion. And when I went to university, I just focused more on school and kind of let that company go to the wayside. But now that I've been doing SEO for so long, I've realized I've helped out all these companies over the years. I should probably help myself out. So about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, I started a skateboarding page on Instagram, and it took off. Has a couple 100,000 followers on it. So
Brilliant.
trying to see what I could do with that and get back into my passion. Even though I love marketing and helping businesses out, if I could follow my own passion, which I always recommend to people, follow your passion. Don't just jump into SEO because it's a hot topic, but find something that you really care about, because you're going to be doing this for a long time. And if you're not passionate about it, it's going to be tough to do it. So that's one regret, that I didn't jump on that skateboarding long time ago and kept it going, because it would have been 20 plus years that I've had that company. But now starting from scratch, not scratch, but starting anew, and starting a new company is not easy. It's a lot of work and time and dedication.
Are you doing the clothing again?
No, this time I feel like clothing is just too competitive,
You're doing Instagram
too
and stuff, are
saturated.
you?
So I'm actually making the bearings, the part that goes in the wheel to make the wheel spin. Finding something more niche, because it seems like everyone is making a clothing company nowadays. Not everyone, but a lot of
Mm.
people are making clothing companies. Or so I'm
Yeah.
just trying to find something more niche, and that's what I always tell people too: is try to find something more unique, niche, that helps differentiate yourself. Like that clothing company that I work for, they sell it for music festivals only, so it helps them break in and penetrate that market versus just selling something really broad and generic. It's doable, but it's just going to take much more. That's where you have to have that 10-year plan, because it's going to take a lot more
Yeah.
time to build it up.
What are you most proud of?
I'd probably say having my own company, quitting my job. That was very tough to do. And just letting go of that job and having my own company. I'm proud of myself for making it and building it up and being able to survive all these years and not have to. I've had those ups and downs where I was a little worried at times, but now it's really more stable and built it up, and very happy that I was able to persevere, push through those ups and downs, and not just say, all right, this is tough. Let me just stick with this 9 to 5, because it's constant income, it's stable. I don't have to worry about getting
Yeah.
clients, because getting clients is tough. Managing clients is tough. Managing people is tough. But the more you do it, the more you learn and understand how to just better suit everyone's needs and make everyone happy.
And what does legacy mean to you?
I'd say just leaving that positive impact on people around me, on businesses, on others, and just not just being one of those kind of fly by night companies that just comes, grabs people money and leaves, but trying to show people, hey, SEO optimizers, they've been around since 2007. They've we're not just going to disappear. We're going to stick around. We're here for the long term, and just doing that for your own personal life too. Like letting people know that you're reliable, you're trustworthy. You're not just going to use people or use friendships just to get you to move up and take advantage of people. So just trying to treat others like you want to be treated, and just try to put that positive, spread that positive message, and be a good person overall.
Amazing. And lastly, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
I actually create a special gift for everybody if they go to my website at seooptimizers.com. That's SEOoptimizers.com /gift. And they can find that gift there along with my contact information and a bunch of classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up for free. So if they want to see step by step how to do a lot of stuff that we talked about, they can watch those classes. And also, if they want a free website analysis, I'm happy to check out the website from an SEO point of view, and they can book some time on my calendar there as well for free.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate you. You've given some great insight, and definitely going to rethink our podcast website and how to do that. So thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me on today.
Cheers. I really hope you've enjoyed that content. It's a really fascinating interview that I've done there. So please do, if you are enjoying this content, please do give it a like. Please do give a subscribe. It'd be really good to boost the subscriptions. It really makes a difference to the algorithm in YouTube. So thank you for that. If you do hit subscribe, hit the bell icon and you'll get all of the content. You'll get notified when all the content is available. Thank you so much for your time. It's really appreciated. Thanks a lot.